Point three, it's the Flying Dutchman and Carrie Chong with you on the morning drive. And today on the show with us in the studio, very, very happy to have us join us here is Catherine Jenkins. Hello there, how are you?
Good morning, I'm great, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. You are the UK's biggest selling classical artist of the century. That's got to feel good.
It's always a bit surreal actually when I hear that. I thought, are you really talking about me?
Yes, we are actually talking about you. And that's exactly what we want to do as we start this interview. Find out a little bit more about you. How did it all start?
Well, I grew up in South Wales, where there's a lot of music, and I started singing at the age of 4.
Okay.
And it was really like learning to sing in church.
Yeah.
I was a chorister. I won a competition called Choir Girl of the Year when I was 10, and I was always just singing because I loved it. I'm so lucky that I didn't have pushy parents. I just loved singing, and I never ever thought I'd be lucky enough for it to be my job one day. It was just a dream.
Yeah, it was never a chore for you.
No,
right?
no. It was the one thing I always got so much out of. And then I went off to study at the Royal Academy of Music.
Right.
And I thought, well, if I can get into there, then maybe I have a chance of being in an opera chorus or something like that one day. That was the best case scenario.
There you go. You didn't do the competition route.
In Wales, we have quite a lot of sort of competitions called Eisteddfods. So I did things like that. And like I said, the Choir Girl of the Year thing. But no, it was just more, classical music is it's quite a small genre to decide to go into as a child.
Yeah.
But it was just immediately the music that clicked with me and that I wanted to sing.
Nice. How do you keep the voice?
There's quite a lot of discipline, I suppose, that goes with it.
Yeah.
For example, I guess the most out there one is that I don't speak for 24 hours before I sing. Not a word.
What?
Not a whisper, not a word.
To preserve
nothing.
your vocal cords.
Yes, because like the vocal cords, when they, so you need to completely rest them, and any sound you make, even if you sort of hum or you clear your throat, it vibrates the cords. So you can't make a sound. And that's the best way to recover them so that the sound is as pure as can possibly be.
Good Lord.
So
wow.
now my children...
Trade secret. We never knew.
Yeah, my children are 6 and 9 and they're used to it. So sometimes they'll wake up in the morning and I'll just wave at them, or we start acting it out like we're playing a big game of charades, and they think it's funny.
It's cute.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
I want my wife to take up classical singing.
That's what my husband says.
Every now and then she just goes quiet. Don't hear a word.
Yeah, men all over the world are thinking the same thing.
This is it, guys. We're going to get together. We're going to start a school here in Singapore for our wives.
My husband said at that point, I do become his dream woman because I can't argue back with him.
Okay, you know what? We're going to continue this conversation on Facebook, so join us there because we're going to be talking about that concert you're performing for us, right? This coming Saturday. Very exciting stuff, so join us there.
The right way to start your day.
All right, here we go.
Alrighty, we're on Facebook Live. Thank you very much for joining us. Hope you're having a good start to your morning. We're with Catherine Jenkins, the UK's biggest selling classical artist of the century. I love that title. That is an amazing title, to be the biggest selling artist of the century.
Yeah, you've made so much music and you're still so young and refreshed.
Yeah, you've done so much. We were checking the number of albums you've done. That's incredible.
Well, I got my record contract when I was 22. I had just left the Royal Academy of Music. I was actually a teacher. And while I was teaching, I met with Universal and they offered me a 6-album record deal. I kept teaching actually throughout the first few albums because my mum kept telling me, well, you've got to keep the real job up. So she didn't know how it was all going to work out.
Plan B.
None of us did. And so I've been lucky enough to pretty much make an album every year.
Okay.
Yeah,
let's talk about that concert that's happening this Saturday, right, at Botanic Gardens. What can fans expect?
Well, it's this. I actually was here in Singapore just a few weeks ago. So
Yes.
I went to the Botanic Gardens and I saw the stage
Yeah.
in the middle of that Symphony Lake, and it's so gorgeous. I'm so excited to be performing there with a full orchestra at Tanglin Symphony.
Right.
And we're going to be doing a bit of a spin on British music. So it's called Great in the Gardens. It's going to be celebrating, I guess, some music that people will know associated with the UK. I can say a little bit. I'm going to be doing something to do with James Bond, which will sound awesome on the orchestra.
I'm there.
Very
I'm
exciting.
Singapore's biggest James Bond fan.
Oh,
I'm
he is.
I'm there.
I think I can give that away.
Pack a picnic basket,
Yeah, it's
lay
gonna
out
be cool.
a mat.
Yes, exactly. We
great.
hope that people will bring, just come and relax and let the music wash over them. But I'm really excited.
So, the idea behind the concert is a celebration of the ties between the UK and Singapore.
Yes.
How do you see music playing that role of strengthening ties? Because it's an interesting idea.
Well, I mean, that's what's amazing about music, isn't it? It's sort of like it doesn't matter what, where you come from, what language you speak. It's the thing that always unites people. And I think it's just going to be a wonderful celebration. But I also hope that through the music choices as well, it's a little bit of sort of extra reason to, to love where I'm from and love the relationship. And so, I think it will be a lovely celebration of the relationship.
Awesome.
All right. You are currently working on a new album.
Yes.
When is it going to be out? And how, the sound of it, what can we expect?
Well, I'm going about writing this album in a very different way to ever before. Writing all the music with really contemporary writers and trying to sort of take the well-known tunes of classical music and slightly turn it on its head. So I've just noticed that in the way that we listen to classical music now versus maybe 10, 20 years ago, it's trying to make it a little bit more intimate and maybe using it in more of a way for relaxation.
When you write music, what inspires you? Where do the ideas come from?
With all the songs I choose, I think it's always about finding that emotional connection. I lost my dad when I was 15, and so I'm always drawn to, things that maybe either make me think of him or songs, material that I hope will help other people. So
to
I think
overcome the obstacles or, something they're
give
going
them strength,
through. Yeah.
Help them process those kind of emotions, because I think music is so powerful in that regard.
Yeah.
And so, it's always things that connect with me emotionally.
Okay. You're also very exciting executive producer on The King of Covent Garden,
Yes.
right? Which is a film that's going to be released this year, I hope.
It's being made this year.
Yeah.
I actually think it will probably come out in 2026.
2026.
It will be a Christmas movie.
What draws a singer to produce a movie?
Well,
I know it's Handel, but
it's Handel, and I love Handel.
Yeah.
It's also an amazing story. I mean, I think most people around the world will have heard or at least sort of recognized those bars of Handel's Messiah. And even though I've sung it many, many times, I actually wasn't aware of the true story surrounding Handel, what was going on in his life as he wrote it. And it's a story that even sort of, hundreds of years later really resonates with today. It's a little bit about cancel culture, redemption. It's
seriously, cancel culture.
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day.
I'm
16th
telling you.
century.
Yeah, it's a really amazing, uplifting story. Obviously, with an amazing soundtrack of the Handel's Messiah, and Sir Anthony Hopkins is playing Handel,
That's
and so
incredible.
it's something I'm really, really excited about.
That's
that will
amazing.
be amazing.
Yes.
To watch. Okay, the other thing that we're interested, because both FD and I
We're
are
gin drinkers.
big gin
You
drinkers.
are?
we're
Yes,
big gin
Brought
love
some
it.
in for you.
So tell us how this journey on starting Signet Gin started. That's your
Yes.
brand, right?
Yes. Yeah, no, I created my own gin. We make it in Wales. I've always been, myself and all the women in my family, we love our gin. So I wanted to create something that I could drink that would, be good for my voice. And so we make it with Manuka honey, which is something I use in my singing every day. I use it with my kids. And it's won several awards, since we've only been doing it a few years, but it's won several awards that's made it the world's most luxurious gin, and we're launching it here in Singapore now. So if you come to the concert, actually, you'll be able to have some there. In the Botanic Gardens.
I've got
Bonus.
James Bond in gin. It doesn't
And
get any
Catherine
better.
Jenkins. Don't forget that.
Wonderful.
Okay, as one of the world's most renowned classical crossover artists, can you tell us about this journey that you've been through, what did you see it coming? You know
No.
Yeah, like you said, you started really young. You know,
Yes.
were there challenges? I'm sure there were. You tell us about that journey.
I think actually it was the it was, I think when something is a joy, and I tell this to other, when parents say to me, oh, my kid is interested in music, I always say, don't push them. It has to be something that comes from within. And, because when it happens, you really have to be so dedicated. And, it always feels like every time I get to travel, like to be here in Singapore, it's a dream. It's so nice to be able to be here and sing for everyone. I'm looking forward to the concert very much. And so I think it's all about doing something that you love and enjoy. And that's why it still today feels like a privilege.
I've got to throw you a left field question.
Yes.
I ask this of people all the time. In Western society, you find parents will allow kids to chase their passion. In Eastern society, it's education, education, education,
Grades,
get the degree,
yeah.
and then your passion can play.
Ah.
What do you say to a parent like that, whose child has that talent, but you're going education, 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 degree first?
Oh, I can only judge this from my own experience. So
yes.
growing up in South Wales,
Yes.
we had opportunities from church singing, singing in school choirs and the National Choir of Wales, and being part of the Eisteddfods and the competitions, and singing with male voice choirs, and all of that whilst I was still trying to be really focused in school. I do think that all of that experience led me to a point that when somebody did eventually, and it's all about being in the right place at the right time, but when opportunity strikes, you've got to be prepared. And I think that's the difference between success and failure.
Right.
And so having all of that performance experience under my belt from a young age meant that when I got that opportunity, I felt prepared and I felt ready for it. And so I really think that having those musical experiences, if that's what you wish to go on to do, if we can do them in tandem, is
but
is
what
the
about
best
you?
way.
Have kids, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I have two kids as well.
Aww.
What if they tell you, I want to pursue acting or the arts or something, completely just
They
unexpected?
both are. So both of mine are. One, they seem to have an interest in it.
Yeah.
And immediately
and they
are
say,
you
"We
teaching
wanna-"
her to sing? And I'm like, no. We just had our first singing lesson actually last week together. And I was in my element. I was loving the fact that she needed to learn a piece of music, and I was helping her. But I want it to be always a passion, something that they can turn to, and not something that's pushed.
Okay, we're gonna go back on air to chat more with Katherine Jenkins. So stay with us. Santana here on 1FM 91.3, Good Times, Greatest Hits. Okay, today on the Morning Drive, we've got with us Katherine Jenkins in the studio live. We've been chatting a whole lot about the musical journey, what's happening this Saturday at Botanic Gardens. Maybe just to recap, okay, a concert that you can go to, right, and enjoy your music. What can we expect?
Yeah, it's a public free concert on Saturday, starting at 5:30 with the Tanglin Symphony Orchestra, and because it's a celebration of the 60-year relationship between Singapore and the UK, there's going to be a sort of a celebration of British music too. So. Some well-known pieces of classical music played by the beautiful orchestra, and I may also be doing a little bit of James Bond.
That's it. You can't do British without doing Bond.
It's one of our biggest exports, so we have to put a bit of Bond in there.
Yeah, and we're also talking about children, and encouraging their passion and their talents.
Yeah.
What if your children, you have two,
Yes.
what if they came to you and said, "Hey, Mom, I want to give up school because I want to go sing or act"?
We wouldn't be giving up school, that's for sure. But I definitely want to sort of. They're both really interested in music and sort of musical theatre and that kind of stuff at the moment. So I encourage it, but I'm not pushy with them. So I want them to always have that as something they love and enjoy, and they can turn to at any point in their life to help them. But I just give my daughter Aaliyah her first singing lesson, which was, you know, I was nervous to do it because I want to not overstep with her, but in actual fact, it was a dream moment for me, and I loved it.
Awesome
Aw.
stuff. We've got a couple of questions. We've got time for a couple of more questions before we get down to what 2025 holds for you. You're Welsh.
Yes.
Singaporeans love to travel.
Okay.
If they go to Wales,
Oh yes.
what should they do?
Oh, there's so much amazing stuff to see in Wales. I mean, it's our language is one of the oldest languages in the world.
Yes.
It's it's very mythical. It's all about the dragons and the coastline is incredible. It's won many awards for outstanding natural beauty, and you can take the little train up to the top of Snowdonia, to the highest mountain, and I would also love to say that aside from, I hope, very, very friendly people, it's also the land of song. And so the musical experience there will also be something that I hope people will enjoy.
Can we also say that it's the land of signet gin?
It's the land of signet gin. That's what we make it in Wales, with pure Welsh water and Manuka honey, which is not, that bit's not from Wales, but yes.
Yeah. So good reason to visit Wales. I've never
Absolutely.
thought about that, but now that you've
Wales.
sold it to us, maybe.
Yeah, Wales.
But
Oh, you
best
must come.
season, like
When would
spring.
one go?
Oh, I would, yes, spring, summer, into
Yeah.
the autumn, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you'll get a very, very warm welcome there.
Awesome. What does 2025 hold for you? You've got so many projects.
Yeah.
Well, sort of more, I'm making a new album, so writing and working on that. I'm doing the King of Covent Garden movie, so we're working on that as well. And then, more of the concerts around the world as I'm doing. I'm still, full-time mum, so that's a lot. And then all of my responsibilities and creative stuff with Signet Gin.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us here today. It's been a pleasure. We hope you have a blast at Botanic Gardens and enjoy the rest of your trip as well.
Thank you. Yeah, my mum is here with me, so we'll be tourists too.
Awesome.
So look out for Catherine Jenkins, maybe in Orchard Road or in Chinatown, that sort of thing.
Remember, the concert happens at the Shaw Foundation Symphony Stage on the 8th of March. Starts at 5:30. It would last roughly
An hour and a half.
An hour
We'll be done
and a
by
half.
7. Come
Okay.
along. I'd love to see everyone there.
Cool stuff.